"Lower me down to him," the paralyzed man whispered to his friends. "I believe he can heal what medicine cannot." The crowd outside the modest home in Capernaum had swelled beyond capacity. Hundreds pressed against each other, straining to hear the words of the carpenter-turned-teacher who spoke of impossible things, of a kingdom not built by human hands, of healing that defied physicians, of forgiveness that erased shame. Micah lay on his mat at the edge of town, where he had lain for 12 years. Since the accident at the quarry, his legs had become strangers to him. Lifeless extensions he dragged like punishment. Every sunrise was an act of endurance, every evening prayer unanswered, until whispers of the Nazarene reached him. They said he touched lepers and they were clean. They said he spoke to storms and they listened. "You're mad," said Elias, the strongest of Micah's 4 friends. "The crowd is impenetrable." But Micah's eyes, the only part of him that still held fire, locked onto Elias. "Then we make a way," he said. "Or do you believe in nothing greater than the barriers before you?" Something stirred in Elias then, not pity, which Micah had endured enough of, but something rarer. Respect. Jude, the skeptic among them, shook his head. "Even if we get you there, what then? This Jesus may be a great teacher, but flesh and bone don't heal at words." Micah smiled faintly. "Then I will have tried everything in this world, and you will have been a true friend, carrying a fool to his final disappointment." The frankness pierced Jude's doubt. He nodded slowly. They lifted him, as they had countless times before. Elias and Jude at his shoulders, Benjamin and Nahum at his feet. Through dusty streets they carried him, their determination growing with each step. When they rounded the corner, hope faltered. Hundreds stood packed around a small home, pressing inward like a living wall. "It's impossible," Benjamin whispered, but Micah's eyes had moved upward, to the flat roof. "Not impossible," he said, "just difficult." The realization spread among them like fire catching dry grass. Elias spoke first. "The roof." Nahum, the builder among them, nodded slowly. "Clay tiles. We could remove them, create an opening." Jude frowned. "And desecrate someone's home?" Micah looked at his useless legs. "I will repay the owner everything," he said, "even if I must work from this mat for years more." Have you ever felt so desperate for change that normal solutions seem inadequate? Have you ever been willing to tear the roof off your problems to find healing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that challenge your perspective. The climb was treacherous. They fashioned a crude harness for Micah from their belts and outer robes. "Trust us," Benjamin said. Micah nodded. "With my life." The pain was excruciating as they hoisted him, but his eyes never left the roof above. For the first time in years, he was moving upward, not lying flat. On the roof, Nahum assessed the tiles, finding the spot directly above where the teacher's voice emanated. "Here," he whispered. Their hands worked feverishly, removing clay tiles one by one. The hole grew larger until finally they could see inside. Jesus sat in the center of the room, surrounded by eager listeners. His face was kind but weary. Micah felt sudden doubt. Who was he to interrupt? But it was too late for second thoughts. His friends positioned the mat over the opening. Eyes met, breaths held, then they began lowering him down. The room fell silent as dust and daylight spilled from above. Faces turned upward in confusion, then amazement as they realized a man was being lowered. The descent seemed eternal to Micah. What if the teacher was angry? What if he refused? What if this final, desperate act ended in humiliation? His mat touched the ground directly at Jesus' feet. The ropes slackened. Micah looked up, meeting the gaze of the man he had risked everything to reach. There was no anger there, just eyes that somehow knew everything about Micah's 12 years of paralysis without being told. "Your faith is remarkable," Jesus said softly. Then louder, he spoke words Micah least expected. "Son, your sins are forgiven." Confusion rippled through Micah. He had come for healing, not forgiveness. The scribes in the corner began whispering angrily. "This is blasphemy," one hissed. "Who can forgive sins but God alone? What would you risk to encounter Jesus? What barriers would you break through?" Share your answer in the comments, and subscribe to join our community of believers who seek deeper understanding. Jesus turned to the scribes, his expression gentle but unwavering. "Why do you question in your hearts? Which is easier, to say your sins are forgiven, or to say stand up and walk?" The question hung in the air, unanswerable. but so that you may know the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." Jesus turned back to Micah. "I say to you, stand up, take your mat, and go home." Micah felt it instantly, warmth flooding his dead limbs, sensation where there had been none. It began at his core and flowed outward like a river finding new channels. His toes curled, his knees flexed, muscles awakened from their 12-year slumber. He gasped, not daring to believe. Then slowly, trembling, he rose. First to his elbows, then to his hands. His back straightened, and then, miracle beyond imagining, to his feet. He stood, swaying slightly, tears streaming down his face. The mat that had been his prison now lay beneath him, unneeded. Then Micah took a step. His foot responded, bearing his weight. Another step. He bent his knees, testing them, then straightened. Jumped slightly, feeling the impact and recovery. 12 years of prayers, concentrated into this moment. He looked up at his friends peering through the hole they had created. "I'm walking," he called up to them, his voice breaking. "I'm walking." If you've ever witnessed a miracle, big or small, we want to hear your story. Was there a moment when the impossible became possible in your life? Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of faith that defy explanation. The crowd erupted, some in praise, some in confusion, all in awe. Micah turned to Jesus, falling to his knees before him, not from weakness now, but in reverence. "Thank you," he whispered. Jesus helped him to his feet. "Your faith has made you well," he said. "Go and tell what God has done for you." Micah gathered his mat, folding it carefully. The crowd parted for him as he walked, truly walked, toward the door. Each step was a revelation, each movement a prayer of gratitude. Outside, his friends waited, still stunned by what they had witnessed. "We destroyed someone's roof," Jude said suddenly, practical even in the face of miracle. Micah nodded. "And I will repair it," he said, "with these hands and these legs that work again." This place of transformation would be sacred to him always. The spot where desperation and faith had torn open a ceiling and found healing waiting below. In the days that followed, Micah made good on his promise. He went to the homeowner and offered restitution. But the man, having heard the full story, simply embraced him. "My house was honored that day," he said. Still, Micah insisted on making repairs with his own hands, placing each tile with reverent precision. As years passed, Micah never forgot the feeling of those ropes lowering him down, the moment when sensation returned to his limbs. When others spoke of barriers to reaching Jesus, he would smile and say, "There is always the roof." It became his life's message, that determination could overcome obstacles, that faith could find unexpected pathways, that healing sometimes required breaking through ceilings. That's the power of desperate faith. It refuses to accept closed doors or impossible situations. It makes openings where none exist. It lowers itself to the feet of the only one who can truly heal. And in doing so, it discovers that no roof is too solid, no barrier too permanent when placed before the hands of the healer. Thank you for watching this story of faith and miraculous healing. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more biblical narratives brought to life. Let us know in the comments. What roof do you need to break through to find your healing today?